Welcome back to section 2 of our library orientation. We're going to talk next about the technology use policy and school loop, and also something you may not have heard of, which is called turnitin.com. So first of all, some of you did a great job of updating your password and logging in. That was challenging for some of us, and I'm so proud of you for working hard to figure that out. What we want to talk next about is, what does it mean to be a good digital citizen? What does it mean to be online in such a way that you are showing integrity and also creating a positive digital footprint for yourself, which will help you for your future? We care about you as your teachers, and we want to remind you of the importance of being safe online. So you know that things like spamming or people trying to pretend to be something else so they can get your password or your private information is common online. So you want to make sure that you always protect your personal information. You want to protect your passwords and also your other private information. Part of being a good digital citizen is also having integrity and realizing that you're going to use technology to learn, but not to cheat. So things like plagiarizing or copying something else that's not yours and saying that it is yours, those things have very serious consequences, both at Cupertino High School and also in real life too. So we want to remind you of the importance of showing integrity and always doing your own work. It's never too early to think about the fact that whatever you put up online, whatever anytime you make a comment, anytime you like something, anytime you create a website or a blog, you're creating a digital footprint that is associated with you. And certainly colleges have Googled people and looked at what was posted on social media, for example, and they've made some pretty serious decisions about whether or not students should get into their colleges or whether or not they should get a scholarship. And future employers will also look and see what you did online. So don't forget that even what you do today says something about your character that could come up years later in your life. So always make good choices and think about what might happen long term. If you put great things about yourself online that show that you're a caring person, involved in great activities, that's going to reflect positively on you. So the responsibility is on you to make good choices. We have a digital use policy that's kind of quite in depth. It goes into some of those things, and it does talk about why it is important for you to use our computers and our technology and our Wi-Fi in a way that shows integrity. So be mindful of that. Be mindful of the fact that where you go can be tracked and traced. And so you definitely want to realize that whatever you do has consequences, either positive or negative. So another thing we want to remind you of is just to be always kind to others online. There's a lot of people who aren't kind online, but you can be different and make sure that you share kindness instead of meanness online. The next thing I want to do is make sure that you know how to get to School Loop. And some of you have been there already, and some of you have not. So it can be a little tricky to find School Loop on the school page. You don't want to go to School Loop directly. You want to go to the school page first. And you can see in the top right here where it says Students. If you click on that, and then you can choose Resource Links on the next page, you'll see a link to School Loop. Your login name is just your username, not your email, but just your username, and it's the same password. And then you may decide to download the app too. A lot of students find the app is very helpful to use as well. If you're having trouble finding that, you might need to maximize your screen. And then, of course, you can always search the website for School Loop too. So if you haven't had a chance to do that, we want to help you do that today. So raise your hand if you need help getting to School Loop, and we'll come around and make sure that you know how to find it and log in. A reminder about School Loop, you've got a couple great things in your menu there. You'll see on the home page all your classes, and you'll also see your assignments there. It's kind of cool that you can check them off once you're done with them and get that satisfaction of checking off your list. Also, it's important that you know that My Locker is where your teacher may upload some documents that they'll want you to read. So you might need to click My Locker, and then what you'll need to do on the next page is choose the actual class before you see any of the assignments that your teacher might have uploaded. Loop mail is a great way to connect with your teacher. Some teachers do prefer to communicate via their Google mail, so their Gmail. So talk to your teacher and ask which method they prefer. But either way, no matter what method you use, remember that you want to always be more formal when you communicate with your teacher. Be mindful of your grammar, use a salutation and a closing. And remember that email isn't the best place necessarily to have some of those conversations that maybe should be better have in person. So you remember from advisory, we talked a little bit about that. So do be mindful of the way that you communicate with your teacher via email. Okay, we're now ready for the next thing, and this is turnitin.com. So what I'd like you to do is open up a new tab and go to turnitin.com, and there is a teacher-specific code on the whiteboard that has a enrollment key and a class ID that you will need to use to log in to Turnitin. So the first thing you want to do is go to turnitin.com and hit create account. You're going to choose student and then hit class ID or enrollment key. Now, if for some reason you've used Turnitin before or that doesn't work, if you go to the home page, you can also hit sign in with Google and see if that works. But that's if you've used Turnitin before. But either way, you should be able to enroll, and we're going to give you some time right now to do that. And again, we want you to raise your hand if you have any questions. We're going to come by and check and make sure that you are logged in properly, because Turnitin is going to be where you put all your papers and assignments, and they're going to check for plagiarism there. And so you'll be using it a lot throughout your high school career. All right, you're done with section 2. Once you've completed the Turnitin form, do raise your hand. A teacher or library staff will check to see if your form's been completed. And then you can go back to Google Classroom and move on to section 3.